Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce Javier Medina, Captain of the United States Navy Surface Warfare Officer and Anso member, and also the President of the NORFOLK chapter. Javi, un placer tenerte con nosotros. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today to talk a little bit about yourself and just tell us about what great things that the NORFOLK chapter is doing for Anso these days. So, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, buenas tardes. Muchas gracias por la oportunidad de platicar con usted esta tarde. Para mí es un placer estar aquí y muy bien, gracias a usted.
I'm thankful for the opportunity to lead Anso and to work with great officers like yourself. For me, it's important to really know the people that we work with. And so I want to start by asking you to tell me a little bit about yourself, your background. I see kind of a Boricua flag there, Puerto Rico flag. And is that you going to the moon?
No, I wish, but everywhere I've been, there's always a Puerto Rican, and I recently saw this on one of those advertisements on social media. Found it kind of intriguing, so I kind of like it as a background.
Awesome. So tell me about you. Tell me where you're from. Where'd you grow up, and how did you, end up becoming a Navy captain?
All right. Well, the history goes back to Puerto Rico. I was born in a town named Ponce, Puerto Rico, in 1970. So. Born and raised in Puerto Rico. I grew up in a little town called Guayanilla, which is the southern part of the island, almost center left of Ponce. Small town, went to public school. And what brought me to the Navy was the fact that my half-brother on my dad's side, he was in the Navy at the time. And I recall my dad receiving letters from my brother. And one particular letter had pictures from a crossing the line ceremony. And that really caught my attention, And I told my dad, "Oh, Papi, I really want to do that." So my dad said, "Well, your brother's in the Navy. And if you want to do that, just look into it and try it." So fast forward a few years later, I was 16, 17. I was thinking about going to college, but I did not think I was college material. And that's the honest truth. However, my parents instilled that in me that I needed to do better, and they want me to go to college, but I just didn't pursue that. One day we had a recruiter that came and visited my high school, and that's what kind of solidified. Definitely, this is a sign for me. I met the recruiter. Going forward, I was 17, had my parents convinced to sign me up for the Navy. And my parents said, because you're 17, the recruiter says we have to sign. So the only way we'll sign is if you promise you go to college. And I was taken back about that. I was like, okay, I wanted my ticket out of Puerto Rico. So that was it. So I told mom and dad, okay, I promise I go to college. I just didn't know when. Did not have a timeline. I just wanted to leave the island and see the world. And I was very interested in traveling. So that's how I ended up joining the Navy. As far as becoming a Navy captain, that was a long trajectory, very long story, and I'll keep it short. Upon enlisting in the Navy, I struggled with the language and whatnot, but I look back and remember the promise that I made my parents that I was going to go to college, even though I didn't think I could. And but I'm a man of my word. So that's what brought me to put the package together. I submitted the package, and by the grace of God and God alone, I really made it. I got selected for the enlisted commissioning program. And that's what brought me to becoming a commissioned officer, went the surface warfare officer route. And 20 plus years later, I made captain by the grace of God, I tell you.
By the grace of God and a lot of hard work, right?
Well, yes, sir, absolutely. But yeah, I think it was a miracle in the making, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I didn't get here alone. A lot of friends and acquaintances and mentors that took the time and saw in me what others may not have, and even myself. And it came to fruition. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that the Navy gave me and the support that I got from family and friends.
And that's important, right? Having the right mentors, the right people that you can go to and ask those questions. What am I doing right? What do I need to do more? How do I make it? Because going from ensign to lieutenant junior grade, and lieutenant is almost guaranteed.
Yes, sir.
Once you get past that lieutenant, that you gotta really, really take a hard look at, how you're going to make it, especially if you're going to go through and do, XO and command tours and things like that, right? So tell us a little bit about that journey for you, right? From your first command and all the things that you've seen. I mean, what are your experiences like? 20 years is a long time.
Yes, sir.
You've seen a lot of things. So talk to us a little bit about, the challenges as you came through the ranks and the rewards that you've experienced.
Well, so to answer your question, I spent the first 6.5 years as an enlisted person. I was an aviation ordnanceman. I was on an LPH, the USS Iwo Jima, which it was decommissioned, and then on the Enterprise. And subsequently, while I was on board the Enterprise, I went to school at night. The ship was in the yards, and that afforded me the opportunity to go to college. But my first experience as a brand new ensign on an FFG out of NORFOK, it was a culture shock because I went from being a blue shirt to now a khaki, and held at a higher standard, higher responsibility, and the things that come along with the positional authority. And it was a challenge. And luckily, I found a great department head who happened to be from Colombia. And this lieutenant commander took it upon himself to mentor me for about 3 or 4 months before he transferred. And he helped me through the surface warfare qualification process. And the challenge that I encountered was that the ship at the time was in a shipyard. So we needed to go above and beyond the pier, find an opportunity to get on the way on another ship. And that opportunity presented itself. I got on the way on the ship, working my quals. And subsequent to that, the follow-on department head was back then Lieutenant Dennis Velez. And he was my operations officer, and who happens to be from Puerto Rico. And I know you know him because you had to interview him. So Lieutenant Dennis Velez at the time was very encouraging, and he was a man that set a good example before me. And him being Puerto Rican, being not too far from my hometown, identified with him rather quickly. And I had a great deal of respect for him. And that kind of encouraged me to proceed with my qualification and push forward. And over time, I have maintained a relationship with him. But I got support from my other fellow division officers and department heads who helped me through that process. And as I climbed through the ranks and the different stages of the milestones that the surface warfare community requires, there were a number of challenges, and the opportunities that present itself to kind of problem solve through those things helped me get to where I am today.
I gotta say something about Dennis, right? Dennis is a Rear Admiral right now. He's being inducted into the Puerto Rico Veterans Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
I don't think there's that many Latino officers that haven't been touched by Dennis. And when it comes to just a great mentor, someone who really cares and someone who really takes care of people, he is one of those guys. And I'm proud to call him a friend. And real quick, just on what you said the Colombian officer helped you. And you know what? That's the story of many Latino officers, right? We find someone who is like us, who speaks our language, right? That native language, because we all speak English. But you entiende, right? You understand what I'm saying. And that person gives us a hand. And that's what we're doing in Anso, is we're paying it back. You're doing it right now, leading the NORFOK chapter. So talk to me about NORFOK and the chapter and everything that you guys are working on and doing and what you see kind of for the future.
So recently we had our first, since I took over from Rolando Machado, now the vice president at the national level. And Rolando had set up a really good process there for me to take over. And we were able to have our first professional development forum. And the opportunity presented itself to reach out to other senior officers from the Navy, the Marine Corps, and both surface warfare and aviation warfare. So I had a Navy pilot, a P3 pilot present. I had a surface warfare officer who was a special mission CO, and a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and who's from Bolivia. And the other individuals were from different backgrounds as well. But they were very helpful and insightful on talking about professional development and, like you said, paying it forward. Now that we have reached this level of seniority in the Navy or Marine Corps, we're able to look back and kind of help the folks that are coming up through the ranks right now to kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that we encounter. Because I think, one thing is important. We learn the lessons, but we could document them, but if you don't share it, then they're not really learned. And what end up happening, those that are coming behind us will have to relearn those lessons. And frankly, one way to pay it forward for me is to share those things, tell them, hey, these are the pitfalls. This is the things that I would suggest you do or consider, and then make a decision as how you're going to proceed, and allow the people to think through the problems, and listening and being receptive to what we have to share was very important. So in that forum, it was very helpful to have an exchange with different members of the audience. So besides the 3 members on the panels, we had about half a dozen other officers and enlisted personnel that were listening, asking questions and whatnot. Going forward, we have the Eastern Regional Symposium coming up in April, and we are in the beginning stages of the planning alongside with the national level leadership to be able to put this together for the eastern side of the. So our intent is to make it just as good as it was the last one, if not better. And just so we're going to collaborate. I've been reaching out to some of the folks and anticipate to reach out to the front waterfront shortly, since we have most of the ships in port during the holidays, you know.
Absolutely. That's going to be a great symposium. And, you know, this is the time to really kind of focus on that leadership and mentorship part of this as we put this together, so that, you know, people can truly benefit from it and really understand what Anso is, what Anso does, and what we care about, and how we can help not just our Latino, Hispanic service members enlisted in officers, both in the Navy, Coast Guard, and also in the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir.
But just everybody in the service, right? Because everything that we have, leadership is for everyone. And I think, you know, this opportunity will be great to invite everyone in the waterfront to come and listen and be a part of this excellent program. So muchas gracias, Javi, for putting that together. I look forward to it. You know I'm going to be there with you, brother. Anything you need, let me know. Okay, so as we wrap this up, what are your hopes for the future as we look at, you know, Christmas holidays, the new year coming through, and that's, you know, and it doesn't have to be Navy. It's just Javier talking and thinking through what would you like to see, you know, whether it's country, whether it's, you know, just the local area, or whether it's our life and our family lives.
So along with our heritage, you know, we celebrate quinceañeros, right? And so I'm looking forward to my daughter's quinceañera, which is coming up in February. My wife has been in the planning stage with my daughter and my mother-in-law, setting this up for our daughter. And originally we thought we were just going to go in a family cruise, but my daughter, who is very intertwined with our culture, even though she wasn't born in Puerto Rico, but she's 100% Puerto Rican for all intents and purposes. She's really identified with our culture. And she said, Mommy, Papi, I want to have a quinceañera. And we were like taken back because we really thought we were sold on a cruise. So that's what we're looking forward to do this spring. We'll have a quinceañera and potentially a cruise if that all works out. But definitely celebrating the quinceañera, definitely instilling our children, and they're 15 and 17, or soon to be 15. What we try and instill into them is a pride and just recognize their culture and take it with them. They are learning the Spanish language. My son tends to translate quite a bit for my daughter, but they're fully immersed. I mean, my daughter has dressed and performed plena dances and everything. So they definitely involved in the culture, and they want to know more and learn more. So I am looking forward to their development in that area. As far as career-wise, I'm looking forward to go to Major Command coming up this spring, spring of 23 rather. And then we'll see what the future holds from there. But I'm already at 33 years in active duty. So it seemed like it was yesterday when I left Puerto Rico. But Norfolk's been home ever since, and I really enjoy this area. My wife loves the area, so we continue to explore here and travel as much as we can.
Excelente. Bueno, feliz cumpleaños para tu hija. Happy birthday. And for those that don't know what a quinceañero is, it's a sweet 16 plus, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's awesome. And no, congratulations on Major Command. And I know it seems a long way out, but when I got selected for Major Command, it was 3 years before I got to my Major Command. So don't feel like it's too far out. Before you know it, it'll be there. And I know you're going to do great things. Thanks for your time, Javier. We truly do appreciate everything that you're doing down there in Norfolk, that you continue to do to serve our sailors. 33 years. Wow, brother. 3 decades in service, in uniform plus, and you still got a little ways to go. So
Yes, sir. It's been fun ride so far.
Excelente, hermano. Un placer hablar contigo hoy. Cuídate mucho, and give our best to the guys down there in Norfolk, Anso.
Muy bien, muchas gracias.